302, Mr. Yao.
What's that?
302.
Oh, yeah. Let me get my glasses on here. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I move.
You have to come out of, we gotta come out
Oh,
of
that's
the
right.
closed session.
Yeah, 302. 302.
Well, first we have to come out of closed session.
Yeah, 302. Certification. Billy, yeah.
He's got it.
Yeah, that's what I told
I
him.
thought he was reading something
No,
else.
no. You got
Ready
it.
to certify? I move that council certify that in the closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
Councilmember Clancy. Aye. Mayor Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramikis.
Aye.
Councilmember Schmidt. Aye. Councilmember Short. Aye. Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Yao.
Aye.
All right. Consent agenda, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. On the consent agenda this evening is purchase of replacement unit number 339 garbage truck, transfer of electric enterprise reserve funds to purchase required electric distribution equipment for new residential development, uncollectible personal property tax account write-offs, 2017 tax year, treasurer's reports, and minutes of previous meetings.
Can I get a second?
I move the consent agenda. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 601, swearing in of Police Chief Christopher B. Seller. Need you up front, in front of the podium. Whoa, okay. Christopher B. Seller, do you hereby solemnly swear that you will faithful and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon you as Chief of Police for the town of Culpeper, Virginia, and will impartially and without fear or favor discharge all duties entrusted to you in the position and will be faithful upon you, defending the Constitution of the United States and Commonwealth of Virginia, the Charter and the ordinance of the town of Culpeper, which are obligations is taken freely and voluntarily on your part without any mental reservation. So help you God.
Yes, sir. I'll sign the left way.
Yes, sir.
Do I read the fine print?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
At this time, will Mrs. Seller come up and pin the badge on your husband?
Don't stand on my count.
So actually, yeah, move towards the podium. And then.
I'm good. No, you good.
And civilians, all officers, all staff.
Us short people up front.
John.
I know, he's like, nuh-uh. Man, I gotta run. I don't need to be over you. No. Norma. Come here, Norma. You come run next to me, girl.
Good try, last. I'm gonna switch it over there. All right, this side, y'all are gonna have to scoot over again.
I felt my butt touched.
Richard.
Y'all need to stop that.
Can't get no tighter.
Norma, no that.
My suit is tight. I feel like I'm behind Todd.
I feel you behind me.
I don't want anybody to touch me. Yeah, I know you did. Congratulations.
If
Do you mind if I say a
council,
few words? Yeah.
just as an FYI, council's gonna take their photo after the meeting
What's
with
that?
the chief.
I better do it this way because I might be better off. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Manager and staff. All the department heads are representing here today. Yeah, Julie's going to get mad at me. For working with the police department, as always, for many years, making sure that we're a successful police department, a responsive police department, and one that town council can be proud of. And we do thank council for many years of support, and pretty much for never saying no for the name of public safety. So I do thank you a lot for that. I do want to thank all my friends who showed up here. They're kind of like my off-work therapy. I know Brian and Justin and Tripp and all you guys I know I'm missing for coming. It's important to have those friends to sound off on and have sounding boards so that are not associated with the police department. So I do appreciate them. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Chief Jenkins and his legacy, and for him putting me in the right position to succeed and to carry his legacy on. And I would be remiss not to mention him. He's having a much-deserved cocktail right about now in Florida. Probably just finished a round of golf. Well, I know that for a fact. That's exactly what he just finished doing. So much deserved for him, and I wish he could be here, but I know he's here in spirit. So I do want to thank my family. I would not be here if it wasn't for my family. And my two brothers were always been an example for me growing up, and always had a sense of service and community, and they led by example. And they were instilled, and that's Mark and David, who are sitting behind me, each row there. For these, raise your hands. So I do want to thank them for leading me by example. They're way older than I am, so I was little. So I was able to follow their footsteps in community service and leading by example and serving fellow man. I do want to think, they said by every great man is it's a great woman, and fortunately, I have 3 of them, times 3, and I'll be remiss to not talk about my grandmother Effie. Everybody knows Grandma Effie. She is an example of community and community service. She's a colonel. She's Colonel Effie, Colonel Award winner, and she's probably won every award in this community. And coincidentally enough, it's Pie Day, 3/14, and she's known for her pies. So imagine that. So today is Pie Day, and she's the pie lady. So I just thought about that up here. She certainly is the matriarch of her family and has led her family and is led by example and always looking out for the fellow person. And I can't thank her enough for leading us and showing us the proper way to lead our lives and serve our community. And my mother as well. She can raise her hand, Mom, Pat. I want to thank her and my father, who also instilled into me and my brothers the commitment of community service and treating everybody with respect and dignity and treating others like you want to be treated. And they raised us that way. My brothers, my mom, we're still serving our community as of today, and that will never stop. And it will always continue till probably the day we die. And I want to thank her for that. Last but not least, my wife Kelsey, who has been by my side for the past maybe several years, and has always shown support for me through good times and bad times, and been there. And when I come home and gripe, which is very few times, she always listens. And she provided me the best 2 things in my life, which is Harrison and Grant. Harrison, say hi. They're kind of my inspiration and my joy, why I do what I do, and I do appreciate that. And last but not least as well, now I won't take too much of your time, is my second family, which is the police department. They were not, for lack of better terms, they were not ordered to be here tonight. They came here on their free will, which is always complimentary, unless Captain Chilton kind of forced them to come. But I don't think that's true. But I want to thank them for their support. I would not be here if it wasn't for them. And they make me look good. And I would tell you that I inherited probably the best police department in the Commonwealth, and I'll say that today. I know the former vice mayor used to always, the former mayor, Mike Ollinger, always used to say that, and I agree with his sentiment that we do have the best police department in the Commonwealth, and we have the best staff and the best professionals. There's police officers and our civilian staff who make us tick and make the ship go every day. I just sometimes give it a little turn to steer it the right way, but they're the ones that are making it happen and making it go where it needs to go. And I can't thank them enough for helping me get here. And then we're all in this together, and we'll continue to be in together and continue to be responsive, to be transparent, and be accountable to our community, and continue to serve, continue to enforce the laws of the Commonwealth and the ordinance of the town of Culpeper. And can't say that enough. And I know real quick, the NAACP is here as well, representatives of that, and I appreciate them for being here as well. I was at a state conference for the NAACP today down in Caroline County, and listen to some of the stories of some of those agencies and the relationships they have with their community. You know, it's not to be taken for granted, and I will never take that for granted. We'll continue to strive to have a better relationship and forge better relationships with our community. And I've taken enough of your time. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thanks, council, for allowing me to do this tonight. Thank you, the manager, for setting all this up. Ashley, thank you for doing all this. And we're here. We're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. And thank you.
All right, 7:01, public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for town citizens, visitors, and group to commend or bring to our attention any town government-related issues. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. For group present, you are requested to have a spokesman. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak at this time? No one? I'm gonna close the public forum at this time. All right, 8:01, Mr. Yao.
I move that council authorize the town manager to release the town's right to serve a prospective electric utility customer to Dominion Energy as discussed during closed session.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
I have one more.
Right.
You done?
Yeah.
I move that council reappoint R.E. Dean and Pastor Jeff Light to the Culpeper Cable Commission for new 3-year terms ending February the 28th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 9018, public hearing on rezoning of partial to industrial district M-2 REZ-3852-2023. Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, but in light of timeliness, if it pleases the council, I can just do it verbally, and we can look to move and open the public hearing if that works.
Sorry.
We don't have any place to go tonight, Mr. Mayor. I mean, it's only been 15 minutes. How long will it take?
Not terribly long. I can certainly run through it.
You can,
Yeah.
whatever y'all want, I'm good with it. I have nowhere to go.
Set it up. Run through.
Go ahead with it.
We'll run through it then. So we have the rezoning request. This is a town-initiated rezoning of 4 parcels. You can see them there, 41105, 41105A, 5183D, and 5183E. These 4 parcels are located in the vicinity of Germanna Highway and McDevitt Drive. 3 of them are zoned M1 industrial, and 1 of them is zoned R1 residential. And the proposed rezoning is to M2 industrial. We do have a conceptual development plan that has been proffered by the property owner for 9 buildings. This is a change from what the Planning Commission saw in that one of the buildings has been flipped so that it's all 9 buildings are now located within the town boundaries. Previously, one of them was just outside the boundary on the county side. As we zoom into it here, what you can see is the total of just over 2 million square feet of building space. Both the primary and the emergency access would come in off of McDevitt Drive. In the southern portion of the property is proposed to be the stormwater management. This also allows for the preservation of existing wetlands on the property. And they all are calling for a substation to be located on the northwest corner of the property as well. So as mentioned earlier, our existing zoning here is M1 and R1, and it's being proposed to transition to M2, which is our heavier industrial zoning category. When we look at this against our comprehensive plan, there is a slight conflict in that this area is identified for mixed-use business, which was to discourage single development businesses. It was meant to encourage walkable town centers, village block type development. A more appropriate designation would have been the institutional character area. However, the comprehensive plan, when you look at the institutional characters areas, those are only for existing schools, government facilities such as the VDOT and the hospital. Those were the only ones that were identified. They weren't contemplating new industrial development at that time. When we look at the other components of the comprehensive plan, though, they're much more favorable in terms of the rezoning. The employment center land use designation that covers this area calls for utilizing the existing available high-tech infrastructure that's available there. It does specifically include industrial development as appropriate uses and specifically calls out the M2 district as appropriate for development within this area. Additionally, this is within what we identify as our growth area 3 within the comprehensive plan, which specifically is identified for industrial and business development. It does call for a consideration of a mix of employment and residential, but that's a secondary consideration in this one. From an economic development perspective in the comprehensive plan, the chapter focused on economic development specifically calls for the town to work to enhance the marketability of sites, which is what's been done with the town's choice to initiate this rezoning, as well as offer incentives to attract new development. Looking at the transportation, public facilities, and natural resources components of the comprehensive plan, There were shown to be some minor collector roads that were crossing here. However, the feasibility of those roads seemed unlikely to really ever come to fruition because they would have involved crossing the railroad track, which, as we've seen with the pedestrian bridge alone, is a tricky and costly endeavor in terms of working with Norfolk Southern on that. And additionally, the topography in that area, it slopes very steeply away from Route 3 in the vicinity of this property. And so where the road was proposed to potentially connect from there up to East Chandler Street would be very costly and really not pragmatic to construct. With regard to natural resources, the comprehensive plan does encourage the protection of wetlands, which the proffered conceptualized development plan would do, as well as the protection of natural resources and open space areas. There's a buffer proposed around the perimeter of this, and additionally, the property owner has proffered $50,000 to the town to use for the protection of open spaces and impervious surfaces. So again, getting back to the point of the town working to help to incentivize these, as you recall, in December, council adopted the technology zone, which includes these properties within it, which offers incentive grants related to real estate taxes, machinery and tools taxes, site plan review permits, as well as business and personal property taxes. So this, to us, seemed as clear guidance from council that there was a desire to see development of this nature in this vicinity as this occurred in the very recent past. The proffers that the property owner has provided to the town would be conformance with that conceptual development plan that they submitted that showed the layout of the buildings, the entrances, the proposed stormwater management facilities, a 50-foot vegetated buffer to be retained or installed along the public roads, a 35-foot vegetated buffer to be retained or installed along the railroad track, a 50-foot vegetated buffer to be retained adjacent to residentially zoned properties, and if a residential site plan is approved, to actually supplement that with additional plantings. There's an acoustic study that would be done to ensure that there's the appropriate mitigations from a sound perspective. Light fixtures to be shielded down so that there's not light pollution stemming off of the property. The $50,000 contribution for protection of trees and pervious spaces is mentioned, as well as a prohibition of a number of impactful uses on the site that otherwise could be permitted under the M2 zoning. So looking at this from an overall perspective with the comprehensive plan, there were strengths with relation to the development of the town's tax base. It is cited appropriately with regard to the infrastructure provision necessary for this development, and the future land use and economic development sections both supported as well. The weakness is that conflict with the mixed-use character area. However, with the lack of newly proposed institutional character areas, I think that's certainly an overcomable weakness here. This was taken to the Planning Commission for a public hearing last month. They did consider it, and their recommendation was approval of the application with the proffers submitted. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have. I do know that there is a representative of the property owner here as well, and so if there are questions, they could answer those during the public comment time as well.
Just a quick question about the noise study, the time frame for that, when that will be completed, and also whether that will take into account not just typical standard operations, but also with power loss, generators kicking on and things like that.
We worked with the property owner on that one. The study would be due with the first building permit. The reason that they wanted to push it off to that point was to ensure that they had the most accurate noise study possible done. So it was taking into account the proposed final elevations of the site, the buildings themselves, to ensure that the necessary mitigation measures could be in place. Part of the reason that we propose this to be rezoned to M2 is that M2 has built-in noise standards that we've codified through the proffer statement as well, so that those will be in place throughout the entirety of the use of the property. So that covers it at all times, not just when the generators are not running, but also when generators are running, they would be subject to those requirements as well. I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, what was the date? The date that the noise study should be assessed?
The noise study is coming in with the first building permit application.
Right. Okay.
So essentially, again, allowing them to do the design of the site, figure out what the final topographies of all the buildings will be so that they can do the most accurate study. Otherwise, they're making assumptions in there that may not come to pass when they actually do the final design.
Okay. Right.
So,
Thank
again, and that way they're going to be required to incorporate the findings of the study to ensure that that noise is mitigated.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you. At this time, I open the floor for public hearing. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to speak on this item? No one? At this-
Good evening. I am Sarah Parmalee with the Piedmont Environmental Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. PEC considers the Culpeper Technology Campus to be situated appropriately, and we agree with the town staff that M2 is the correct zoning for this land use. However, there are some other aspects to this project that we would like to bring to the town's attention. When fully built out, this campus will represent a significant amount of impervious surface, which, even with stormwater management structures, is likely to have a negative impact on landowners and farms downstream. We encourage the town council to work with the county to make sure that mitigation measures and funds are appropriately allocated within the Mountain Run watershed, which is already designated as impaired and stands to be the most affected by additional sediment and stormwater runoff. We would also recommend that the noise study be reviewed by a third-party consultant at the applicant's expense. This site is less than 2,000 feet from the Culpeper National Cemetery, a significant historic and community resource. Requiring a full noise study will also establish a precedent that may be important when determining the suitability of other data center applications. Most importantly, we recommend that the council obtain more information concerning the commercial diesel generators that are associated with this project, including the number and type of generators, the number of hours the generators can be expected to run annually, and the amount of emissions that can be expected as a result of generator operation. Depending on the size of the data center campus, it can have hundreds of emergency generators ranging in size from 600 kilowatts to up to 3,500 kilowatts. For perspective, whole house generators typically only produce about 26 kilowatts of power. These generators are known to produce ground level ozone, which is proven to cause asthma and other health risks in nearby communities. It is important that the town understands understands these issues before approving this project and future projects. Thank you.
Good. All right, anyone else like to speak? All right. Closing public hearing at this time. 9.01A1 RR, approval of rezoning of partial to industrial district M-2 Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The important recommendation before you, stemming from the Planning Commission's recommendation, is to approve the rezoning with proffers as submitted by the property owner.
Any discussion?
Councilmember Clancy? Aye. Mayor Reeves?
Aye.
Councilmember Ramikis? Aye. Councilmember Schmidt?
Aye.
Councilmember Short? Aye. Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Yao?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, 9.01B, public hearing on proposal fiscal year 2023 budget amended. Howard.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Tonight you have a public hearing with regards to fiscal year 2023 budget amendments for items that are included on tonight's meeting agenda. In accordance with Virginia State Code, Section 15.2-2507, when proposed amendments to the budget exceed 1% of the existing budget amount, a public hearing is needed. There are 3 items on the agenda. that will impact the budget. The first general fund operating for a sanitation truck, $302,950. The second general fund capital for a proposed agenda item that will follow this for $2.5 million. And the third is electric fund operating for distribution system materials for $150,000, totaling $2,952,950.
Open the floor at this time for public hearing. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to speak? No one? Close the public hearing at this time. All right. 9.03A1 RR, reference award of construction contract to Taft Construction for the Culpeper Station Pedestrian Bridge Project. Jim.
Good evening. Before you have a report and recommendation awarding the construction contract to Taft Construction for the Culpeper Station Pedestrian Bridge Project. The design for this project goes back to 2020 in late fall. It was we've been through a process with solicitation of bids that occurred on November 15th, 2022. We had a pre-bid meeting with prospective contractors on December 7th to review the project and look at the site. We did receive bids, and you have a bid tabulation in your package on January 25th, 2023. And the low bid submitted by Taft Construction is $3.581 million, which does include the cost of the bid additive number 1, which is a public restroom facility. Financial impact of the low bid will increase the total general fund project cost from $3,360,100 to $5,860,100 for the East Spencer Street public parking project. If approved, this measure would require a transfer of $2.5 million from general fund reserves to fully fund the project. The recommendation standing is that council will authorize a transfer of $2.5 million from the general fund reserves to the project, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I think I'd just like to clear the air a little bit about something. I was surprised. I think some of you may have been surprised too to see my name associated with a letter to the editor in Sunday's paper. I appreciate and respect Mr. Gutowski's opinions, but I don't share them as the way he presented. As you know, I've been part of this project from the very beginning, from the first purchase of the first parcel and then the additional parcels, and then, approving the improvements on Spencer Street and, all on down the line. And, so it wasn't really until the pedestrian crossing and the highest, the doubling of the projected bid that I finally thought it was a bridge too far, you might say. So I just want to make that straight. I've always been afraid of the project. The bridge is, I think, just a little bit too much, so thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I'd just like to comment, because there has been discussion about this. The project is well underway. I think, we need to look toward the future. I know we have events that go on in town, and as much as people say there's adequate parking, there's not. When we have parades, we have car shows, when anything happens at the National Cemetery as far as Veterans Day, laying the wreaths, removing the wreaths, people have to search out places to park. I think the way the population is growing, certainly we have Laurel Ridge, it's what, 303 homes?
Yes.
And some others there. Ira Hoffman's going to be developed. It's a lot more people coming into town. There's areas downtown around Davis Street that are still yet to be developed. So I think we need to look toward the future, and having a nice parking lot with a cool bridge across it, you know, I think is great. I liked Megan's idea of the clock tower. We're not doing that, but, you know, that's kind of the center of town where everything happens anyway. And I just think that parking lot and with the public restrooms as well is a good project for the town.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, just one more comment, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to clarify the motion because I think at the committee, well, not committee, at the last little budget meeting, I proposed that we not include the public restroom anymore as part of the project and just do the bridge in order to do some cost savings and maybe transfer those funds to something else. So, I mean, the report and recommendation includes all of that. And so I want to propose an amendment to the motion, or at least a clarification of what the motion should be if it's to exclude the public restroom. Do you follow me on that?
So you would like to remove bid additive number 1?
Right, but can we do that with the clarification of the motion if everybody's in agreement? Or do we have to go through the process of amending a motion that wasn't very clear to begin with? Because it was just so moved, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Right, who's that?
I believe the motion before you does have the additive in it, and so a motion would be in order to amend the recommendation, amend the motion to remove that. I think that's the cleanest way to take care of it.
Or just actually state the motion. You know, I just want to, I mean, I know they may be clean, but it's, all right, I'd like to amend the motion to remove, what's it called again?
Bid additive number 1?
The bid additive,
Yes,
bid
sir.
additive number 1.
We just need clarification of what the motion is that's on the floor. My understanding was the motion was to accept it as proposed, but that we would need clarification as to what the actual motion is.
I think I made the motion, and it was my understanding that it was to be included with it. I guess I came out of the committee meeting assuming we were going to have the funds available and at some point decide whether or not to go forward with the restroom portion, or was I mistaken?
Well,
That needs to be decided tonight. Either we award it with the base bid, which doesn't include the restroom, or as proposed, which is the base bid plus additive number 1. Additive number 1 is the restroom. Once we award the project, it either has to have it in or out.
We can't have like the option to remove
no, well,
When we award the contract to the contractor, we're signing a contract telling him what to do, so we need to make that.
so
that
my
decision.
amendment stands. I'm just looking for a second to remove
Bid additive
bid
number
additive
1.
1.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, with the motion to amend the motion on the floor, that would require a second.
Right.
That's what he's waiting on.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no second, then the amendment would die for, oh, there was a second. I sorry, I didn't hear you.
So now we got to vote on the.
So you would have a discussion now,
Roll call.
Mr. Mayor, on the amendment.
Any discussion?
We can save $300,000. That's some
You have
change.
that many people coming into town down there. The restaurants have signs up, don't come in and use the restroom. You know, you're going to have events down there and no public restroom?
If there's going to be an event, that restroom's not going to hold, that restroom with only, I mean, it's not a very large facility. If you have a third Thursday event, you're still going to have porta johns out there because that restroom won't accommodate it.
Yeah, just a quick comment. My thought is that the additional bathroom isn't going to serve, a large event with thousands of people. But as a dad with 6 little kids coming in and out of a recreational area or, visiting a town that I'm not familiar with, moving the troops back and forth from the parking lot, it'd serve a very nice convenience to have a bathroom that I don't have to go into and ask the restaurant owner permission to use, to be able to use something there publicly available. So I'd be in favor of keeping the bid additive in as originally suggested.
That's my thought too. I mean, it's not necessarily to sustain a whole thousands of people, but something that allows access for different scenarios. Yeah.
Janet, turn your mic on. Still got it.
I think about the people getting off the train, after you've been on the train for hours, you're looking at all this stuff. First thing you want to do is find a bathroom oftentimes, so, and not one that's on the train.
So we're going with the first motion.
Well, we have to vote on the amendment first,
The amendment, we're voting on the amendment now.
unless anybody's got more to say.
You gonna do a roll call?
Yes, sir, I think that'd be cleanest. This is on the motion to amend the motion on the floor to remove the additive number 1.
So we're doing the amendment.
We're voting on the amendment, and then you'll vote on the motion either as amended or as originally proposed, depending on how this goes. All right?
Doing the amendment, we're doing the amendment?
Yes, sir.
All right, got you. Want to do a roll call? Roll call, all right.
Yeah, ready? Councilmember Clancy? No. Mayor Reeves?
No.
Councilmember Ramikis?
No.
Councilmember Schmidt?
No.
Councilmember Short?
No.
Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Vice Mayor Yao?
No.
Motion's defeated.
Now we vote on the original.
Ready for the original motion? Councilmember Clancy? Aye. Mayor Reeves?
Aye.
Councilmember Ramikis?
No.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Aye.
Councilmember Short?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Yao?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoy.
Good discussion.
All right. Town Manager Monthly Report. Council, everybody received the report? Everybody received the report. Any questions or comments? If not, we are adjourned.
Boy, that was a long meeting.